And hello and welcome to another Xterra video where I work on my truck. Sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not. And in today's video I'm gonna be doing some more upgrades on my truck, some more performance electrical upgrades. And what I'm gonna be working on, I'm gonna be replacing the battery and alternator. As you may know, the stock alternator is not that powerful, and when you have a bunch of electric and especially a winch and you try to use it, you definitely feel the underpowered. I'm gonna try to insert a clip where I use the winch and you can see how lights get dim and everything. So that's what I'm gonna try to address today. So let me show you guys what I got. This is what I guys got. So first let me tell you a little reason why I got these particular items. If you want to listen to that, you can skip ahead to the installation and let's start it from there. But if you are still here and you're still gonna watch that, you're my real friends. I really appreciate that. So let me tell you what I got and why I got this. So first of all, let's start with alternator. This alternator, as you can see, comes with the wires, very heavy duty wires, a little pigtail, instructions. They also included a free shirt. That's pretty nice. Now, why I got this alternator? This is actually by JC alternators. I was considering three options: the mean green, the rugged rocks, and these guys. Originally what happened, 2 or 3 of my friends, they had mean green alternators, but all of their alternators sooner or later went bad for no apparent reason, for not too much even off-roading or anything. So the mean green was out of the question. The rugged rocks is a bit too pricey. So since we are slightly on a budget, this is what I got. And there is the alternator somewhere in there, guys.
A few moments later.
There we go. And this is a 250 amp alternator, brand new, and hopefully it's gonna work pretty good. Now they also make this with a smaller pulley. When I was talking with these people, they actually were always communicating with me. I had no issue with communication, and upon placing the order, it didn't take long, maybe tops 2 weeks for alternator to get received. There was a lot of negative comments about this company, but all I feel it was pretty old comments anyways, so I had no issues. Anyways, they told me since I'm gonna be using it off-road, they suggested to keep this the same, don't reduce this one, because usually they ship it with a smaller one and then you have to get a slightly smaller belt. But this is what I have. Of course we have cables over here and over here, but also while talking to them, they also suggested that you should upgrade your battery, because alternator works together with the battery. If the battery is not high capacity, all that power or that juice is nowhere to go. You're not gonna get the whole benefit of it. So I also contacted these people. After talking to them, telling what kind of battery I have, what I'm planning to use, they suggested to get this battery. So let's take this out. And this battery is pretty heavy. This is gonna be our new battery. This is a model number, it's a 12 volt, it should fit. Now the top terminals are slightly different, but they also included these terminals that I can screw in here, so that's pretty good. When you're replacing the battery and putting a brand new battery, before starting a truck, it's recommended to make sure the battery is fully charged. Don't start it with the empty battery. That actually might damage the alternator. But yeah guys, there we go. So that's what I'm gonna be working. I'm gonna replace the alternator and I'm gonna replace the battery. Now I do believe the easiest way is to take the tire out, take the liner out, and that's how I can reach the alternator and remove it easily. Of course we're gonna have to remove the belt, but that should be no problem. And then we're gonna work on getting our new cables in place. Alright, let's start disassembling everything. First gonna disconnect the battery terminals and remove the battery, and then I'm gonna remove the belt. That way we can remove the alternator, so of course you have to remove the belt. And let's remove the battery terminals and put them to the side. Alright, and the battery is out. It's a little bit more involved now with all the wires in place, and after today it's gonna be even more wires connected to it, but it should be right. So now I'm gonna work on getting to that pulley over there so I can release the serpentine belt. Alright, and the belt is off from the pulleys and it's off from the alternator. So now, to make my life easier and for you guys, I'm gonna lift up the car, remove the tire and remove the inner well. That way I can work from here and I can show you guys better. Alright, and the tire is out and now I have so much room over here to work. So now I'm gonna remove these few screws so I can take the inner well to the side. That way we have a good access over here. And the inner well is out and look at all the space we have now over here. So now I'm gonna work on removing this alternator, which has been held by 2 bolts, if I'm not mistaken. Basically there is this one bolt over here we have to remove, and then down here, right here is the second bolt we have to remove, right there. So once we remove those, then we can take the alternator out. But of course first I'm gonna remove all the cables. That way it's gonna be easier to work with the cables while the alternator is secured. So with small channel locks, I crimped this connector over here and we just pulled it out from over there. It's just kind of a little bit hard to film over here, guys. The space is very limited. So this plug is out, which goes over here. So now I'm gonna be working on removing this terminal over here. Alright, and this cable is out. This was a 12mm nut. So now I'm gonna have to work on removing this wire loom, which is connected to the back of the alternator in 2 spots, looks like. So once I get these 2 things out, we can unbolt the alternator. Now unfortunately these 2 zip ties that hold in the wire loom over there, I just had to cut them because I was not able to unclip them, and they're not gonna be reused anyways on a new alternator. There is no place for this plug zip tie to be plugged in the back, so I'm just gonna have to figure out a different way to secure this wire loom. But now I can start unbolting those 2 bolts over there. So the top bolt over there is a 14mm, but the bottom bolt over here is a 12mm.
Much later.
And once all the bolts are out, it's just a matter of wiggling it out. But as you can see, the alternator is out. And now I just want to confirm and check and make sure that it's somewhat the same. But one thing I noticed, that this pulley actually did came with a smaller pulley, so that actually might be an issue, because they said they're gonna keep the original pulley same size, but now I might have to go and look for smaller belt, which is not big of a deal. Now this plug over here and this one looks different, but that's why we have this little cable with us, so we can plug it in over here and it's gonna reuse the same connector, so that's gonna be all right. So now I'm gonna work on putting this new one in, and then just gonna make sure that the belt is the same. If not, I'm just gonna have to make a quick run to after store and pick up a slightly smaller belt. Now another difference over here, when the bolt goes all the way through, it just simply gets threaded through the back part over here, but on the new alternator it has this sort of a nut in place. So this gonna slightly might complicate things, but hopefully not. So let me work on putting this back in place now. I had to loosen up this bolt so this bracket can swing down a little bit. That way I was able to align these holes, otherwise they don't really align. So, but this is why this bracket in there, so you can align it. So now I'm gonna start putting all the bolts in place and start working on connecting the wires. So looks like the original bolt that was used there is not gonna work with this nut that the new alternator came with. The threads don't match. So I picked up this grade 8 3/8 5-inch bolt, and the thread works good over here. So I'm gonna put washers here, there, lug washers, and gonna use this bolt. Let's see what happens. Okay, the alternator is back in place. In the back over there, I even put an extra washer and a nut, just to be on the safe side. Hopefully you guys can see it right there. Right, there's always some kind of modifications, right? So now I'm gonna work on connecting the wiring over here, which another thing, this is located over here. On the original alternator, that was over here. So now I might have an issue with this cable being too short, but we'll see. So I had to straighten out that connector, and then I was able to put it in place, because I still want to keep the original wire in there. And now I'm gonna add the new wires and start tightening it up and securing this all so nothing touches it. So now I'm working on my big 3 wiring upgrade. As you can see, I already got my wire for the positive over here. It's secured. I may secure it more over here. I put it also in the wire loom, and then I have it up to here, which is more than enough. I'm actually gonna cut this probably and splice the fuse in place. I also picked up a fuse. So the positive cable goes to the terminal over there. Now it also came with 2 more negative cables. So those 2, so 1 wire from the nut over there, I'm gonna take it to the battery, to the negative terminal of the battery, and the second cable from the battery, I'm gonna actually take it back to the frame. So at least that's what it says on the paperwork. If you look at over here on the diagram, you see 1 cable goes to the fuse and to the battery. Then from the alternator, second cable goes to the battery terminal, and from the battery also goes to the frame. So that's what I'm gonna do. So once again, I'm quickly losing daytime. I had to run off for work. So I'm gonna set up the work lights and I continue working through the night, because I have to finish this today, because for the next 4 days it's gonna be raining and I need to have my truck done. So I'm gonna work on that. Just gonna work on connecting all the wires in place over here, getting everything where it's supposed to be, and then connecting the battery and getting all the wires connected to the battery. Once I do all of that, of course, I'm gonna show you how it's all done, but the rest is pretty easy. So gonna work on that now. All right, guys, as you can see, I already put the battery. We're just simply struggling over here feeding it in. So now I have all my cables over here. This is my coming from alternator, the positive. Then this is coming from the alternator, the negative. And this one I'm actually gonna swing this way, cut it shorter, and I'm gonna take it into this bolt. Gonna clean it up over there. I think that should be more than good of a connection over here. I mean, this is a solid metal, and then this piece, so it should be all right. But over here, I may cut this one shorter as well, because I'm gonna be installing this 250 amp fuse, which I'm probably gonna keep it maybe somewhere here. Maybe. I think that could be a good idea to keep it in here like that. Also came with these covers, nice looking covers. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep this over here. So the cable originally gonna come to this fuse, and then from here I'm gonna have another piece coming into here. So that's the plan. And of course this one I'm gonna cut it shorter now over here. And yeah, let's see what happens, guys. All right, guys, so I'm almost done. So now I'm actually gonna use this post that they sent it to me, that you can actually adapt this so you can still use your battery terminals. So that's what I'm gonna do now. So now with a longer bolt, with a washer, I'm gonna screw it in there. All right, guys, so I still have a little bit of time before it starts raining. It's the next day. I'm still working. So now everything is almost done electrical over here. So right now I'm gonna make the last jumper between this terminal to the positive of the battery. So yes, I know I'm using the black cable, but don't worry, guys, I'm gonna heat shrink it anyways, and it's gonna have red terminals, and it's gonna be inside the wire loom anyways, so not gonna see it. So now with this bigger 1 gauge terminals, gonna crimp it like that, heat shrink it, and that's gonna go in there. I'm really glad I bought this tool some time ago. It came handy so many times already. All right, so now it's time to make it all look pretty. So gonna heat shrink all the ends, all the terminals, so it looks pretty. And the serpentine belt is back in place. Now I did put my old one back, even though that pulley is slightly smaller, but I feel like I still have plenty of tension on it. But I did find online one serpentine belt that is half-inch shorter, which has been recommended by the company. Well, not that particular serpentine belt, but just to get one that is shorter, which just was like $45. So I order it. We'll see. Maybe I'm gonna use it, maybe not. But I'm gonna try with my current serpentine belt. Maybe it's gonna work just fine. And all the connections over here are done. Everything is done and secured. I hope it's secured. Alright guys, the whole upgrade is done. It was actually almost 3 upgrades. We got a new high output alternator, we got a new high capacity battery, and we got a brand new big 3 upgrade, the wiring kit. But I know the wiring kit costs big 3, but basically what I got a big 3 upgrade, alternator, battery, and wires. So it's all kind of works out. I'm gonna keep an eye on my voltage, of course, on the fuse. Maybe down the line I'm gonna upgrade this fuse from 220 to 300 amps. And I'm gonna still gonna keep an eye on the belt. Maybe I'm gonna switch it for a half-inch smaller belt, the one they recommend. But so far there was no squeaking, so we'll see. Alright guys, everything's put back together. Now I'm just gonna let the truck sit for a day, let the battery charge with my solar panel, because it came pretty much discharged, since I don't have really a battery charger, but I do have a solar panel, so that's gonna top off the battery in no time. Maybe it's gonna take in half a day. And then gonna test it, gonna start it up and look at everything, make sure that no sparks or anything, God forbid, but everything should be alright. Oh guys, you're not gonna believe it, between the few rainy days and work, it's been almost a week since I did the upgrade, but I still haven't started my truck. I still haven't tested it because I wanted to do during the daylight, but whenever at work, when I come home, it's late, it's dark, and the other day so it's raining. Anyways, it's almost end of the day again, and for the first time I'm gonna try to start it up, and I really hope that everything's gonna work fine. So let's open up the hood just to keep an eye on everything, and let's start it up. Have to keep an eye on all the wires, make sure nothing is gonna go bad. I'm also gonna check the battery voltage, how much I'm getting the charge. And as you can see guys, I'm getting 14.9 volts. It's a little bit a lot, but this is what the alternator has been set to. Now I have all my lights, everything is on, all the lights and the heat is on, and I'm getting 14.8 volts. So it's charging a lot, which is good. So now we're gonna test our upgraded, the big 3 upgrade kit, the battery, the high capacity battery, and high output alternator. So we're gonna test it with a winch. I have it connected to the tree over here. So now I'm gonna put the truck in neutral and see how is it gonna pull, because in the previous videos I saw the lights were dimming, but maybe it's gonna dim anyways. But let's see, let's test it out. I don't even know what to expect. This is the first time trying this all out. This is sliding, but that's okay. And as you can see guys, the winch is pulling no problem. The lights are not dimming like it was on the previous test. I don't see the lights dimming. It's pulling the truck no problem. So let's go more. Even at the idling, I don't see the lights dimming. It's going pretty good. It's pulling the truck no problem. I can definitely feel and hear the difference, because before when I was pulling with the other alternator, I could see the lights dim and it was going, it sounded harder, like it's working too hard, the winch. I'm gonna go back to that video, rewatch it and add it all again over here. Maybe I'm just imagining things, but I think this is a big difference. This is a definitely big improvement. Even with this small, maybe not a right way to test it, but this is a huge improvement. So now just to do a test in a cold start. As you can see guys, it's winter and my truck been parked for almost a week without starting, and it was covered in snow. I was trying to clean it up. So I'm gonna try to start it up now, and we'll see how well this battery gonna work in a cold. How well is it gonna start? Let's go. It starts right up, no problem. Nice. Alright guys, finally after days of work and a week of waiting, the truck is working great. Thankfully everything is working, the truck started and no issues so far. Even though I got the alternator with a ever so slightly smaller pulley, I actually just got delivered a new serpentine belt that is half an inch shorter, which has been recommended, but I think there's plenty of tension on the pulley. I had no squeaking of any kind, the belt was not slippery, I was giving it a little bit of beans, so it worked fine. I'm gonna keep this one for some time, maybe a few days or a week, to make sure that everything works fine. If I don't need it, I'm gonna return it. I have some other expenses to spend on this truck, so if I can avoid something, I'd rather not spend money on it. But I'm gonna leave this in the description anyways, because it took me forever to find this size. I don't know why, and it was like $45 for belt when they're like between $17 and $22. Anyways, I'm gonna keep you guys updated in description or in the comments whether I switched to a new belt or not, or I kept the old one. Well guys, the installation is complete and the testing is complete as well. So I think it's safe to say that with the big 3 kit upgrade, the high output alternator and the high capacity battery really makes a difference. As you guys saw, pulling the truck with a new setup, the winch had no problem of pulling. I did not notice any lights dimming up or anything, so that's a pretty big improvement. And before, when I was using the winch with an old alternator and the battery, the truck was kind of getting bogged down. You can hear that the winch was struggling and everything, but with this new setup, the winch was working perfect. And as you can see, the truck is a little bit dirty. After I was testing the winch, I couldn't help myself to find some puddles and have some fun in 2-wheel drive. So that was a definitely much needed upgrade to get all the electric working properly, because as time went by, I had so much electric added up, and especially the winch, it pulls a lot of amperage. So I'm pretty happy so far with this alternator and the battery. And of course, that wiring kit that the alternator came with, it's a highly recommended. If you put in the high output alternator, you have to have the RTA2 things installed. The wiring kit, the big 3 kit upgrade, and you should have a high capacity battery, because you need that voltage to be stored somewhere. The voltage is much stronger now on the truck. I should not have any trouble with the electric anymore. With all the lights and all the accessories that I have. Yes, you can add a second auxiliary battery, that's gonna take more space. I think running just one for now, but high capacity battery is a smart choice. But anyways, I would like to know what kind of alternator you guys have, what kind of batteries you guys running, what kind of electric setup you guys are using. So feel free guys to leave that in the comments. I'll gladly read it, and maybe I should upgrade something in the future or maybe improve something. But as of now, I'm pretty happy with everything. So on this note, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you might find it helpful, and as always, until next time, everybody, bye.